Hi, I'm Alex Howard, and I'm here with Dr. Nikki Crowley, Medical Director at the Optimum Health Clinic. Hi Nikki.
Hello.
And in this video we thought it would be useful to give an introduction to the medical department of the Optimum Health Clinic and a little bit about what it does and how it works. Now, I know Nikki, the primary thing that we're offering people at the moment is a diagnostic assessment so they can get a clear diagnosis.
Yes.
Which for a lot of people with ME, chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia can actually be quite a struggle. But why is it so important people get a clear diagnosis?
Okay, I think it's important for several reasons. I think in the first instance, if we can be really clear on exactly what the health problems somebody has are and make a diagnosis, then that helps with communication with GPs. GPs have to communicate with occupational health departments because people are often off sick for long periods of time with this condition, and also with HR departments. So if there's been a diagnosis from a medical practitioner, that helps the GP, who can often feel unsure about what's going on, to communicate with these other agencies, which just helps things flow a lot more smoothly. People often need to claim benefits as well, so having a diagnosis from a medical practitioner will help with that. I know that sometimes diagnosis can be tricky because people don't want to be labelled. I think the best way of looking at it is that this is just a snapshot of someone's health condition at this time. And it doesn't mean that it's a diagnosis for life. In fact, that's why this clinic is here, because
we hope that it's not.
Exactly, we hope that it's not. But if we can just acknowledge where things are at the moment, then it's much easier to take things forward.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because in the literature and the research, one of the best predictors of long-term prognosis is early diagnosis. So the clearer, of course, the clearer we are on what's actually going on with somebody, that then becomes the starting point for them to be able to move forwards. And if someone's got an inaccurate diagnosis, for example, if someone's been diagnosed by their GP as just suffering from depression, then the treatments and the interventions for that may not be at all helpful for ME and chronic fatigue. For example, if someone's depressed, then a kind of regular exercise and vigorous exercise would be a benefit because actually it would get someone moving. Someone's, especially what we would classify as stage 1 or maybe stage 2 of ME chronic fatigue, then it's the worst thing they could do. So having that diagnosis is really important.
I mean, that's something that I can empathise with from my own experience. It's not a matter of laziness. It's a matter that something is off physiologically, which can be supported often with psychological support, but there is a physiological basis going on as well, which can often be helped to some degree. And
I guess it's also worth saying that some of your background in liaison psychiatry, that it's a really fascinating area that ME, chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, they kind of sit at that interface between mind and body, and traditionally they've fallen under the psychiatric side of things, which is why it's a benefit that you have background and experience in that side. But it's very much our experience that ME, chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia are an interaction, and a complex interaction of a whole range of different things happening in different ways in different people.
I would say that it's not an either-or question, it's more of a both-and. I think if somebody had been unwell for, people are often unwell for years with chronic fatigue, ME and fibromyalgia, and if they weren't feeling low and upset about the situation, if they weren't feeling anxious about what was happening in their lives, I think that would be a problem. So that's why it's not just, I don't see it's just needing physical help or just needing psychological help, but I see it as both.
That absolutely makes sense. And in terms of when somebody comes to see you, what's the process of how you would provide a diagnosis?
Okay. Well, when people come and see me, the most important thing I actually want to know from the outset is what is it that they want from the appointment, because people have often spent a lot of time and energy already trying to find solutions to the problem that they've got, and we have detailed questionnaires at the clinic, and the most useful thing for me is to be able to see those questionnaires filled in, because it actually saves a lot of time of me asking lots of questions in the clinic, and also gives time for people to consider their answers if they can do them at home in advance. And if we can look at those questionnaires it really gives me a lot of information of what's already been done, so we don't waste time in the appointment going back over things that have already been tried. The aim of the appointment for me would be to get really clear on exactly what the problem, what the main concerns are at the moment, and to make a diagnosis.
Yeah, and of course one of the real benefits of working in this way, and also someone seeing a medical practitioner privately, is you just have a lot more time. I mean, one of the great difficulties for GPs is they've got constant time pressures, and I think with the complexity of something like ME chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, that actually have a significant amount of time to sit down and to talk through and to get their questions answered about what's happening, what might be happening, is a real benefit to people. And of course, the medical department at the Optimum Health Clinic is something at the moment which is in some way still in its infancy. It's being developed and expanded at the moment. And I know you're spending a lot of time with the psychology practitioners and nutrition practitioners looking at how we can kind of bring those things even more closely together, interlinked, but also developing over time the medical department in terms of certain medical offerings, which at the moment, up until now, as an organisation, we've not been able to do. And that's an exciting kind of path of development for the future. So, we'll obviously talk more in future videos as that unfolds and develops, but primarily, at the moment, the main thing being, if people don't have a clear diagnosis, then they can obviously arrange to come and see you as a medical doctor who's also had your own experience of ME chronic fatigue, which we've talked about in another video that people can watch. If people want to do that, they can contact Sarah Kay, who's our new patient coordinator. You can contact her on actually Sarah Kay, so Sarah and the letter K at theoptimumhealthclinic.com. And you can also just call the main switchboard number and you can get put through to her as well. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Nikki, for your time. I look forward to talking with you on a future video.